Hey, what's up, YouTube? You're not going to believe this, but Stable Diffusion 2.1 is already here. I know, it's crazy, right? It hasn't even been 2 weeks, and now this is a 2.1 version. This is moving too fast, but you know what? I think it needed it because 2.0 had its problems and 2.1 aims to fix some of that. So you see here, it says 2.1 supports the new prompting style and brings back many of the old prompts too. So don't get too excited there. You're still going to have to use negative prompts. It seems like it's here to stay, and I'll show you a little blurb at the bottom here, which it kind of shows you why that might be the case. So this is going to be a short installation guide or actually an update to version 2.1 from 2.2, 2.0. If you need a full installation guide, go ahead and click on the link over here at the top right, or you can go into the video description to check that out as well. In addition to an installation update tutorial, I'm going to go over why you would want version 2.1 and what it brings to the table. But the biggest reason you want to watch this video is because I'm going to show you why 2.1 is broken. So it did a lot of fixes, but it did bring its own drama with it. So the installation process is quite a mess. So not particularly the installation process, but what happens after the installation. You actually might have to do a bunch of other things to get this thing to work. And there's just countless people in the forums just, oh, you try this, try this. So everybody has their own little code to try and get this thing to work. And it doesn't seem to be the same solution for everyone. So that by itself is not good for 2.1. What a mess. When you have everybody in the forums looking for a workaround, that's not good for a release. But you know what? It's free, and so what, right? But it took me over an hour to get this thing installed. But I'm gonna, I suffer so you don't have to. I did all the reading, so I can just tell you what to put in your prompt, and that'll be it. If this video helped you out, just go ahead and put a like, and so it could share it to other people so they can fix their Stable Diffusion too. But let's get into it real quick. Stable Diffusion version 2.1. So the first thing that they did, and the most significant thing, is that they lowered the restrictive filtering on the NSFW. So the filter was set a little bit too high, and it was creating some crazy things. So like if you put like a girl with big breasts, like you might get like a butt where her chest is, and I guess you could say like it was her assets. It was pretty obvious what was happening here, and a lot of people in the forums were kind of mentioning that was the case. And so they go out and say it here, and they say they kind of toned that down a little bit because it was obviously what was breaking it. So they fixed that. So that's great, right? So your humans will look more human now. And if you look at these pictures here, it looks pretty amazing. Like the pore detail on this girl is pretty cool. So this is not really proof of the whole NSFW with this picture, but it does create better humans now. Another thing that improved was architecture, interior design, wildlife, and landscapes. And I really didn't think it was that bad in 2.0, but I didn't have a lot of time with 2.0. I mean, it was like a week and a half when this came out, but it says it does that a little bit better, so that's cool. Next is we got a bunch of pictures of superheroes here. I don't particularly like the art style. It's very stylized, so but it's subjective, it's art. Like, what's this right here? This guy right here has a little thingy sticking out, a little weird, but yeah, you can do that if you want. So next is the non-standard resolutions, and I think this is what pretty much 2.1 is about. In the past, like, it would be really hard to try and create this. I don't even know if you could. I never really tried it, but yeah, so now you can do these ultra widescreen shots, and it looks pretty beautiful here, and there's not too much repetitiveness. If you did this in the past, you would see kind of overlapping on the mountains or the buildings here, and it would look kind of unnatural. Sometimes you would see, like, if there was a person in the shot, you would see double heads or double arms or something really weird like that. And you would have to do like a high res fix to try and fix that. But this looks beautiful. So if this is any indication of what the widescreen stuff is all about now in 2.1, that looks great. And here is just a little blurb here of why I think negative prompts are here to stay. So this says Dream Studio updates, but I think it's in general Stable Diffusion. It says lots of people have noticed that negative prompts work wonders with 2.0. And they work even better with 2.1. So it doesn't seem like they're apologizing for the negative prompts, and it doesn't seem like they're gonna fix it. So I have some negative prompts in my description, so go ahead and grab those. But it's just kind of weird to me why you would need a negative prompt for things like disfigured, ugly, and too many fingers. I mean, if I wanted someone with 15 fingers, I would say so, because that's very unusual. Like, why do I have to put that in a negative prompt? I really think that's a kind of a broken thing that they should fix, but who am I, right? All right, so that's all I want to go over with version 2.1. So let's get into the install and update. All right, let's get started with the installation part of the tutorial. So go ahead and go into the Hugging Face site that I put in my description, and it'll bring you to this site right here. So there's two files. There's the 512 and there's 768. Those are the base resolutions. So I want the better one, so I'm going to click on 768. So if you're not already in this download folders, go ahead and click on Files, Version tab, and then go down here to the last one at the bottom, this version 2.1 768 non-EMA prunes.ckpt. That's the non-EMA one. So go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring you to the download section, and you're going to click on download and download the CKPT file or checkpoint file. I'm going to cancel because I already have that file and it's 5.21 gigs, so I don't want it twice. All right, while we're waiting for that to download, let's fix the config files. And yeah, I said config plural, so we're gonna have to fix the old one too. So previously I told you to right click and save as, link as. Don't do that anymore. That actually became an issue, so I followed that because another YouTuber showed that to me, and I thought, like, yeah, that's a lot easier. But once you add another config file, you're gonna run into some issues, so we're gonna have to fix the previous one. And also, don't do that anymore. Don't do that. So the one we need is the version 2 inference file. So it sounds like I can't say influence. So inference tag.b.yaml. So remember, it's the tag v one. So it's the first one here. Go ahead and click on it. Now we're going to right click here and click save as, or actually we're going to click raw, and then we're going to right click in there and click save as. Now we're just going to save it into our models stable diffusion folder. I have one in there, so I'm going to replace it. All right, so let's open up that folder real quick and take a look in there. So here it is, the version 2 inference tag.b.yaml. So it's still a text file and we have to change that. But before we do that, our download for the checkpoint file should be done by now. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to throw it into the stable diffusion models folder, stable diffusion folder. We're going to do that now because we're going to need the name, because the name on the checkpoint file has to be exactly the same as the one in the config file. So I'm going to click on the checkpoint file, press F2, and then I'm going to press Control C to grab the name. And then click on the text document from the config file we just put in there. I'm going to press F2 and then Control V. And then I'm going to change the .txt to YAML. So .yaml. .yaml. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Jesus. .yaml. There we go. Boom. Asking me if I want to change it. Yeah, I do. So there you go. That's all you gotta do to do the config file, and do it that way from now on. Don't do the save link as. That's gonna bring you problems. Speaking of problems, we gotta fix that problem because when we did that to the last YAML file, it kind of broke it. So let's delete the old one, the 768 tag v ema YAML. All right, so now we're going to go back to that features site that I showed you. I'll put that link in my description. We're going to click in the config site, and it's going to bring us to a similar kind of thing that we just did. So right click in here, save as, and save it to the same place, which is the model stable diffusion folder. All right, so we're going to click on the 768 tag v.tag ema.ckpt, F2, Control C. Now we're going to click on the text file that we created. We'll press F2, Control V, and then there we go. We're going to change the txt to YAML. All right, that's it. We fixed the config file. So do it that way from now on, and don't do the save link as. So I was doing a shortcut I saw from somebody else online, and it didn't work out good in the end. It took me a while to figure out my errors. I just kind of was just doing a lot of troubleshooting and doing a lot of logic until I figured out that was one of my issues. So this actually prevented me from getting my web UI to run correctly. But that wasn't the last problem I had, and we'll get into that in a little bit. All right, congratulations. You now have version 2.1 installed, but the bad news is it might be broken. For the majority of you, it's probably broken. So let's go check to see if it's broken first, shall we? So just go ahead and go up 2 folders. You get to the root folder and then run the Webui-user.bat files. So just run that, and if it doesn't run here, go ahead and just kind of read where the issue is. And I noticed it was with my config file, and it was trying to load the older one, and then you might have to kind of work the troubleshooting from there. I did leave some troubleshooting guides in the description, so you can go ahead and check those out, and those kind of help me out as well. So for my issue was, remember what I said, it was the config file, but we fixed those things, so that shouldn't be an issue for us. And if you can see here, it says launching WebUI with arguments dash xformers. So that's something I added to the arguments line in the Webui-user.bat file, which I'm going to show you how to do in a second. But for me, it's running good, so no issues here. It's opening up. But even if you open up, it doesn't mean it's fixed. So you actually have to prompt something and make sure it doesn't give a black image. So that's something that a lot of people are running into. So my issue was just kind of not as common with the Webui user file, but the black images seems to be a lot of people are having that issue. So there's 2 fixes for it. There's actually, I saw quite a few fixes, but the 2 most popular ones was what I did, which is the dash xformers, and the other fix is the dash no, and then dash half, which I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. All right, so this thing has loaded and I've talked long enough to get it to load. So we're going to try this out real quick. All right, let's do some quick prompts. But before we get started, make sure you select the correct stable diffusion checkpoint file, because if it's still on 2.0, I mean, it's going to work, right? But we want the 2.1 version to see if we're going to get the black images and to see if we can get this to work right. So what you see here is just the image that I like of Switzerland. I've been watching a Facebook thing of people in Switzerland, and it's a beautiful place. So here's a picture of that, and I put it into the image to image, and I clicked on the interrogate clip so I can kind of have the system tell me what it thinks it looks like. So I'm going to use that as my base prompt, and I'm going to go text to image, put it in there, and just add a few more things. Beautiful landscape in Switzerland. I don't know how to spell that. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so let's try this out and see what it gives us. Actually, before we do that, up the steps just a little bit. I'll put it 47, around 50, and then the width, I'm gonna go all the way up because I want this to be a widescreen. One thing I forgot to mention is make sure that it's at 768. At least if you have the 768 model. Everything else I'll keep the same, and let's try that out. All right, so that made a pretty nice image. If you see here, it came out pretty nice. It's a little bit blurry, but we can actually put no blur in the negative prompts. So negative prompts are still, if you want it a little bit, if you want to make sure it's not as blurry or there's too much mist or something, you can put that in negative prompts to fix that. So we do have to use negative prompts. All right, so I got a picture, but before I was getting just black images here. So I would just see a little black square here, and let me show you how I fix that. So go into your stable diffusions folder, and inside your root folder you'll have your Webui-user.bat file. So that's the one you use to run this. And if you're actually making changes, you have to close your WebUI, of course, so you can make save changes, right? So right click on it and then go to show more options and click edit. So this is if you're in Windows 11. If you're in Windows 10, just right click on it and then put open in notepad. Another thing you can do is you can open a notepad by pressing Windows key R, type notepad and press enter, and you have your notepad here, and then you can just drag the Webui-user.bat file in there like that. All right, so you can see here, so this by default, this is what it looks like. So it looks just like this, and you can just paste this line in here. So that's what I did. I put dash xformers, but I think for the majority of people it's going to be dash no dash half, and that's what you're gonna have to put in there so you don't get that black images. But if that doesn't work, like it didn't work for me, you're gonna have to type xformers. So that right there, and that's all you need. And if you wanted to also add git pull, so you can actually do updates for your repository, so you don't have to keep looking for the newest automatic 11.11 repository, you can just put git pull right there. You can even put pause if you want to see that what the results were. But I also don't want that to happen because I want to do the update myself manually with the zip files, because I want to know what broke my system if something did break. So I don't do that. You can do that if you want, but just long story short, put dash xformers or dash no dash half. So whichever works for you. Don't put both, and don't just put them anywhere. Put them right here and try that out and see if that works. And that should fix your issues. There was multiple other ways to fix this, and I actually left some things in my video description on the other methods and some other argument lines, and there was a bunch of creative ways to get this to work. Conclusion is 2.1 is broken, and they're probably going to come out with some sort of hot fix or some 2.2 version pretty quickly, because there's quite a few people people in the forums coming up with creative ways to get this thing to work. That's all I had. So if this video was able to help you out and get your Stable Diffusion 2.1 up and running, and it fixed like your black image issue prompting black images, or your Webui-user.bat file from not opening, please leave a like on this so we could spread this to as many people as possible to get their 2.1 working, and also leave a comment on what actually fixed it for you. Was it the -no-half, or was it the -xformers? What fixed it for you? And just put that in the comments. And that's it. Thank you for watching this far into the video, and take it easy. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and as always, sayonara, aloha, hafaday, adios, zaijian, alvida, annyeong, pa lam, and please come again.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument or just the start of it? I wanna drive away so I can be so far from it. I wanna find a place where no one breaks their promises, or maybe drown myself in something that is bottomless. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. I know that things seem bad, but they could be much worse. There's always someone else who has a greater curse, a greater thirst, a hunger, pain, and mercy. Just find whatever you got and try to be thankful first. I wanna feel again, I need a couple friends. I never really understood just how the story ends, but I can feel it's tense, don't know the consequence. The volatility of life, my only confidence. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it.